Hi folks, and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. So today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome colleagues from the RAF to talk to us a little bit more about who they are and what they do. So let's bring them on. Connor, Adrian, how are you both doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Good to see you. Now, let's go straight into it. Tell me who you are and a little bit about what you do. And I'm going to go to Connor to begin with.
I am obviously Connor. I work in the RAF Regiment, and the official sort of title is Ground Combat Operations. But I think the regiment do a lot more than that. For me personally, I'm on 15 Squadron on a rifle flight, and we're currently sort of on standby for an Operation 4, just in the news at the moment.
Fantastic, thank you. And Adrian, over to you.
I'm a SAC tech. I work in cyberspace, which deals with all types of IT equipment. The main thing that I do is work with non-MOD equipment to service like F-35 fighter pilots and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Fantastic. And staying with you, what was your pathway into the RAF? Were you doing something similar beforehand? Tell us a little bit about how you got into it.
No, I'm a country boy. I didn't like IT. Did a lot of farming, a lot of pub work. I did a lot of bricklaying as well when I was a bit younger, and I just thought I needed a change into sort of do a bit of travelling. So I thought the best place to do that would be the Air Force, and I've not looked back.
And what was the process like getting into the RAF? Was it quite challenging? Well, tell us a little bit about
that. Luckily, because I went to college, it was really smooth. But yeah, it was. I think everyone gets a bit nervous when they get there, so I think everyone's story could be a bit different. But I thought it was really, really smooth. I thought the training in Holton as well was really good, and it provides for pretty much just about everyone in all different backgrounds. So you meet people you're friends with for the rest of your life, really.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And Connor, similar question for yourself. What was the process like getting into the RAF?
Yeah, it wasn't particularly difficult for my trade. No qualifications are required. So, I mean, that wasn't the case for me. I went to college, and I kind of wish I wwent straight from school, because for me personally, I kind of felt like I went 4 years at college when I could have gained qualifications in the job. So, it was fairly straightforward. Obviously, a lot of fears training phase 1 and 2. So physically fit, probably the most important thing, with a bit of common sense.
Excellent. And was this a career that you always wanted to do? Were you sat at school and you thought, right, I'm going to be doing that with my life? Or was it something that you just woke up one day and thought, okay, I want to pursue this?
No, I think similar to Adrian. I was out in the country. I was at Thatcher before. Tried a few IT jobs, worked in London for a bit, and nothing sort of could pin me down. So with my dad being in the regiment as well, I kind of just decided to give it a go, probably a bit later than, like I said, I wish I joined younger, but I just thought, give it a go. All the sports, the travelling, etc.
Oh, excellent. And Adrian, question for you. What are some of the benefits of working with the RAF?
I think, kind of said it. I think the sport is the main part. The fact that you've got a primary job, that's pretty standard for everyone, but I think there's niche for everyone. So I do all sorts. I play, football, rugby, all indoor sports, and it's really available 24/7. It's amazing. And the beauty of it is because it's part of your job to maintain a level of fitness, you can do it in work hours too. So you still have that time in the back as well to see, friends and family. It's something that I preach to my friends, because they're all doing a 9-5 job, stuck in office. And from, most days at lunchtime up until, 3 p.m, I'll be, on the football pitch doing nothing, having a kick about. It's really good.
Cool result. And Connor, similar question to yourself. What are some of the benefits working with the RAF?
Yeah, I won't repeat that, but yeah, sports is a huge thing. It's a huge bonus. AT on top of that, adventurous training. We've been away as a squadron skiing to France for a week, which is good. And then the other day, I had a load of dental, and the dentist, he said it cost probably near $2,000 on Divvy Street, and obviously it was covered by the RAF, so that was a bonus.
Excellent, thank you. And Adrian, question to you. Do you feel there were any sort of misconceptions about joining the RAF sort of beforehand? Sort of what do you think they are?
Well, I don't know. I think with modern military, people expect that, you know, the phase one is, you know, really in your face and you get screamed at. From my point of view, that isn't the case. It's quite, I don't know, it's quite mature, especially in the Air Force. They sort of leave you to do a lot of your own responsibilities, but at the same time, if you get them wrong, then, you know, you do get the boot. But apart from that, no, it's a very do-it-yourself kind of job. As long as you're left to do with your own devices and you have the right, you know, instruments to do that, you'll go a million miles.
I think that's quite encouraging to hear. I think a lot of people are probably going to think it's sort of Full Metal Jacket-esque.
Yeah.
Connor, similar question for you. You know, did you feel there were sort of any misconceptions before you joined?
I don't think so. I think initially, probably for someone that doesn't come from a military sort of background and then joining the military, it's a little bit of a shock initially, but you soon get accustomed to it, and it's nice to be in a routine and nice to know exactly what's going on, and yeah, living by standards and so on. It is good.
Excellent. And you know, similar to, you know, what was your first week like, Connor? Were you quite anxious, quite nervous, excited?
Yeah, all of those. For me, it was slightly different. You go 10 weeks, you do a further 18 weeks at RAF Honington, which is sort of regiment specific training, and more kind of infantry based, I guess. There was a big difference between the two trainings, because the first one is purely just RAF and the second is a lot more specific. But yeah, just the whole mix of emotions. But yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah, I don't know.
No. And Adrian, similar for you?
What's the question, sorry?
Just in terms of sort of your first week, sort of filled with a bit of excitement, nervous, anxious. You know, was it similar sort of experience, same as Connor?
I think I was more nervous in phase two doing the IT stuff than I was in phase one, you know, doing the basic drills and kit and exercises. So during Cosford, where you do your IT training, it's a 9-month course, and for someone who has no, you know, IT background, it's quite intimidating with the stuff that they say you're going to learn and the amount of tests and stuff. But you know, the fact that people have passed it before, who are probably in a worse situation than, you know, myself or yourself are, you know, today, gives you great confidence that it's possible to do, even though it is hard. And that's what, you know, people these days should really understand, that even though it is a challenge, that, you know, the equipment's there for you to pass. You just need to put the effort in to do it, and that's where, you know, your discipline comes from. And as long as you can iron a good top or a good PCS, I think you go miles. So it's pretty standard, you know.
Good stuff. And you both talk about phase one and phase two. You know, what does phase one training, what does that entail? And sticking with you, Adrian, on that one, and then go to Connor for, you know, what does phase two entail?
So phase one, it's trying to normalize the fact that you've got to do kit every night, and you've got to, you know, make sure your bed's ready, and just that your presentation's well, so that when you do go on you know, on debt, on operation or something like that, that they expect you to have a certain standard of everyone. It's normally to stop, like, I don't know, people being messy or, you know, spreading infection or something like that. And then it's to do with, like, you know, you've got your basic marching, you got your weapons handling, you've got your, you know, your gas training, which is quite interesting. You've got, you know, your medical stuff. So it's very basic fundamental soldiering, and then obviously through phase two it's more specialized in what your actually job should be, and you know, how they want to equip you in the future.
Brilliant. And Connor, can you explain a little bit more about sort of phase two training?
Yeah, so phase two is just going on again from sort of basic soldering. You get taught in a number of different weapon systems, and everything that's sort of infantry based, patrolling, basic field skills, adminning yourself in the field, yeah, just all of that, comms, all of that stuff, just enhanced for another 18 weeks.
Excellent, thank you. And we just got a question. So, what are the specialisms that you can go into? Who wants to tackle that one?
Yeah, go on, Connor. I know where you are.
Yeah. So with the regiment, there's a lot of specialisms, depending on what squadron you go to. So there's QCS, which is in London, the Queen's Colour Squadron, and their sort of ceremonial drill squadron. You would have seen them on the TV. And then recently disbanded, or due to be disbanded, was 27 Squadron, which is a CBRN specialist squadron, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. And then so with sort of on a normal squadron, you can then go into sort of things like the sniper section if you're good at soldering, or if you're really good at fitness, then you'd look to go to sort of SFSG, Special Forces Support Group, 2 Squadron, and maybe get your wings. For me, I'm a machine gunner, but there's loads of sharpshooters, mortarmen, javelins. There's all sorts. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I suppose going over to you, Adrian, what's been one of the highlight moments for you since you've been with the RAF?
I've recently just passed my apprenticeship, which I'm pretty proud of. Got a high mark in it. But apart from that, like I said before, because this trade is completely different to how I grew up. I think every qualification that I get along the way is quite impressive, in my personal opinion. Because throughout phase 2 training, you're doing over 40 exams in the space of 9 months, and then you come here, and then you've got one more apprenticeship to do in 18 months. And when that's over with, you can literally then cater to what you want to do. So I'm looking into more of like cybersecurity roles. So every day I'm learning more stuff about that side of life, and it's really rewarding to know that in IT especially, like the career paths are endless.
That sounds fantastic. And Connor, similar for you, what's been one of the highlight moments since you joined?
The AT, which I previously mentioned, skiing in France was a good one for me. We do exercise and go away a lot and sort of simulate, which is also good. I'd say that at the top, the AT, adventurous training.
Excellent, thank you. And we've just got another question. So, can you change from the area you've trained in? So you decide you don't enjoy what you're doing. Who wants to tackle that one?
You can. There's always ways around it. If you're not, happy about what trade you're in, you can like retrade to a different section. I know quite a lot of people that do it, but it's weird if you just stick at the job that you're trying to do. Maybe in the next time you like get positioned in like every 4 years, that's what it is for myself. So every 4 years I can move base. So if you don't like it in one place, the next place you go to might be your dream job. So you might just have to buckle up until you get that and just try and do as much training as you can.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And Adrian, sticking with you, I want to talk a little bit sort of around what your previous roles were and sort of that transition into this. Now, I know that, you had sort of bar, restaurant jobs and stuff. Was there a lot of sort of skills that you can take from that heading into your current role? And what was that transition like? That must be sort of crazy.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the shift patterns are quite realistic in terms of the Air Force, because you never know when you're going to work, because you're always on a sort of an alert to get in there in the office if you ever need anything ever needs doing, or like someone breaches the systems or that sort of things. But I know personal skills are a massive thing, because you need to be able to talk to different ranks, different types of people, military or non. So that's probably the main benefit of it. But working in bars, it was just a lead up to something like this. It was never an end game, and I don't think that'll probably be a good end game when you've got positions like this. We're crying out for people, so it's a no-brainer.
Excellent. And Connor, similarly to you, now you used to be a Thatcher, is that right? What was that sort of transition like heading into this new role?
It was fairly smooth, to be honest. There was obviously fitness tests as you'd expect, but as far as sort of skills that I gained as a civvy before joining, I think I don't really think you need any particular skills. You just need the want and desire to do it, and you sort of taught the rest, because there's boys and young lads that you see join up, and they're men by the end of the training. They really are, and they've got common sense, and they've just got a bit about them, and they really do teach you and give you all the skills that you need. So as I say, I just wish I did it younger, but yeah.
And what's both of your advice to any sort of young person who's watching now and who'll watch this back around pursuing a career in the military? You know, what sort of things should they be thinking about right now if they want to pursue this as a career long term? And Connor, I'll stick with you to begin with.
Well, obviously, first knowing exactly specifically what you want to do, with there being so many different roles, and then once you've sort of found one that interests you, just go for it 100% and don't look back and just commit everything to it. Because if you sort of join it straight from school, I don't think you can go wrong really.
Excellent. And Adrian, what about yourself?
Again, I wish I did it earlier. I don't know, because you see, you know, people who rank up, you know, the same time as you, but they may be, you know, 5 or 6 years younger. So that is quite frustrating. But it, you know, I had people who passed out with me and they just finished, you know, high school. And even the people that didn't pass, you know, their English and maths, you know, through phase 1, if they like the way you act and the way, you know, you hold yourself in your interview, they can pass you through phase 1 English and maths, so they can actually work towards it with you, which I think is a really important thing as well that people don't understand. I would recommend, you know, finishing school, maybe do, I don't know, some IT qualifications before for my trade, just for a heads up in advance, because I you know, I did struggle a little bit in phase 2 because I'd never done that side of the work before. But I don't know, if you want it, it's there. You know, the opportunity's there. You just have to want it. You know, you have to, you know, put a bit of work into it. You know, do a bit of fitness for your phase 1.
Excellent, thank you. And before we come on to the next question, over the last 12 months, what's it been like for both of you with the pandemic? Has things drastically changed in terms of your roles? And Adrian, I'll stay with you for that one.
No, we do get a chance to work from the block if we need to do a shift pattern, to rotate, you know, the amount of people in the office or in the workplace at one time. But I think, I don't know, I think the main thing that's changed is the responsibility that you carry, because you've got to look after yourself so that, you know, your teammates don't get ill as well. And some of them might have families, some are a bit older, you know, especially, you know, your corporals and your sergeants or whatever. So I guess that's one big side of it. But no, if you're hungry to work, there's always work for you to do. There's no doubt about that.
Excellent. And Connor, I assume sort of similar case for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's not really much more I can add to that, I don't think.
That's fine. Let's come on to the next question. So, great question. So, where do you see yourselves in the next 10 years? Connor, stick with you on that one.
For me personally, I'm trying to commission at the moment, so to learn a slightly different role. So fingers crossed, if everything goes well, I'll still be in the RAF, just doing a different role, hopefully.
Fantastic. And Adrian, what about yourself?
I'd like to do a bit more field work. So IT trade and the regiment can sort of, there's a role in the middle of them where you can go out in the field and be a comms specialist for them. I'd love to do something like that. Commission's definitely an opportunity, but I think I'm going to wait a few years to do that. But it's definitely something up there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both. And one last question, because I'm conscious of time. If you had sort of one piece of advice to give to a young person, especially now that you've been in the RAF for a few years, someone who's keen to join, what's your one piece of advice? And Adrian, I'll go to you first, and then on to Connor to close.
It's hard. You don't want to give too much away because the experience is what matters. So I'm not going to, you know, there's no spoilers in there with like what you do in phase 1 or 2, but just, I don't know, don't be shy about putting your application through. There is people on the other side who have been in your position and they're the ones recruiting. So whatever you're going through, you know, the people at the AFCO, they've done the exact same thing, you know, so just put that application through and get in there.
Awesome. And Connor, what about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'd say just 100% go for it. If you're in two minds about it, go for it. Yeah, get your application in. And worst thing that happens if you dislike it, you leave and you're still young and you can say you've served your country, or you can just retrade, look for someone else that interests you. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with it.
Great advice. Well, gents, thank you so much for coming on Careers and Coffee. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I've learned lots, and I definitely know students who are watching have as well. So huge thank you for joining us.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thank you.
So folks, that was Adrian and Connor talking to us a little bit more about their fantastic careers in the RAF, as well as routes and pathways into it as well. So that closes off Careers and Coffee for this week. Obviously, tune in next week even, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4:30 to 4:50. We look forward to seeing you. Thanks.